Hey everyone, real quick. Have you ever been standing in an elevator with a coworker and just stared at your phone to avoid the silence? Yeah. Today, we're fixing that. Welcome to Mindful English. I'm Sera.
And I'm Liam. And if that elevator moment hit a little too close to home, stick around, because by the end of this episode, you're going to feel genuinely confident walking into any small talk situation.
Okay, so Liam, I feel like small talk has such a bad reputation. People either dread it or they just completely avoid it.
Right, and honestly, I get it. We hear from so many listeners who say they're absolutely terrified of small talk. That awkward silence before a meeting starts. Running into someone in the hallway and not knowing what to say. That panic of, okay, they just told me something, what do I say back? And here's the thing that most people get wrong. They think small talk is pointless. Like, why are we even talking about the weather? What is the point? But here is the psychological reality. Small talk is not an information exchange. It is a trust exercise. You are sending a social signal that says, I am friendly and I am safe to be around. That's it. That's the whole game.
And once you understand that, once you stop trying to be interesting and just focus on being warm, everything gets so much easier. And today, we're going to walk through real situations, like situations you will actually find yourself in. And we're giving you the exact phrases that fit each one, so you're not in your head trying to improvise.
We broke it down into 3 phases: approaching someone, keeping the conversation going, and getting out of it gracefully. Because honestly, that last one, people forget about it, and then they're stuck in a 25-minute conversation when they just needed to grab coffee.
So let's get into it. Phase 1, the approach. So the first question is, how do you even start? And the answer depends a lot on who you're talking to. Because the opener that works for your best work friend is going to feel really weird with someone you've never met. Situation 1, a coworker you see every day.
Okay, so this is the most common one. You see this person every single morning. Maybe you grab coffee at the same time, or you always end up on the same elevator. And somehow, every single conversation is just, hey, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. And then silence. And then you both look at your phones.
It dies every time. And it's not because either person is unfriendly, it's because how are you is basically a greeting at this point. It's not actually an invitation to talk. Nobody answers it honestly.
So the small tweak that actually works, instead of how are you, try how's your day going so far? It sounds small, but that word so far does a lot. It signals that you're actually curious. It's specific to today, so they have something real to respond to. It opens a door instead of closing one.
And on a Friday, this one is gold. Any fun plans for the weekend? People love talking about their weekend. It's low stakes, it's positive, and it usually leads somewhere. Oh, I'm going hiking. Oh, I'm trying that new restaurant. Suddenly, you have a real conversation without any effort.
Let's hear it in context. Imagine Sarah and I are standing by the coffee machine on a Friday morning. Morning, Sarah. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. Just trying to wake up. Any fun plans for the weekend?
Nothing crazy. Just planning to relax and watch some movies.
See how easy that was? Nobody had to be clever. Nobody had to think of something impressive to say. It's just warm, easy, human. Now, this one has a slightly different energy. This is someone from another floor or another team. Maybe you worked together on something months ago and then kind of fell out of each other's orbit. You run into them in the lobby and there's that moment of, okay, we know each other. I should say something real.
Right, and how are you really doesn't cut it here either. Because you haven't talked in a while, And just saying, "How are you?" kind of ignores that. It can actually feel a little cold. What works much better is, "What have you been up to lately?" It acknowledges that time has passed. It shows you're actually curious about their life. And it gives them room to share whatever they want. Work stuff, personal stuff, whatever they're comfortable with.
And if you want to keep it more professional, or if you don't know them that well personally, you can keep it work-focused with, "How are things over in your department?" That one's great because it's warm, but it's also safe. It's not too personal, not too generic.
Here's what that sounds like. Imagine we run into each other in the lobby after about a month.
I haven't seen you in weeks. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, mostly just wrapping up the big report. How are things over in your department?
We are finally slowing down a bit, thankfully. That thankfully at the end, that's the real conversation starting. Now Liam can ask what's been keeping her department so busy, and suddenly you have a real connection going.
Okay, this is the one that makes people the most nervous. You're at a conference, a work event, a workshop, and you're sitting next to someone you have never met. And you know you should say something, but you don't know where to start.
Here's the key. Use your environment. You don't have to come up with something brilliant out of thin air. Look around. What's in the room? What's happening? Is there something you can both relate to? The classic opener is still a classic for a reason. Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? I know. People make fun of weather small talk. But it works because it's universal. Everyone's experiencing it. It's a guaranteed common ground.
And if you want something a little more personal, try, "I couldn't help but notice." And then just finish the sentence with whatever you genuinely noticed. Their bag, their laptop sticker, a book they're holding. It shows you're actually paying attention, which most people appreciate way more than a clever line.
Here's that in action. Imagine Liam sits down next to a stranger at a workshop.
"Hey, I couldn't help but notice your laptop sticker. Did you go to that tech conference last year?"
Oh yeah, I did. It was a great event.
And just like that, the ice is broken. You have something to talk about. You went from strangers to people with a shared experience in about 10 seconds.
All right, so now you're in the conversation. You got it started. But this is where a lot of people hit a wall. Because starting is one thing, but keeping it going naturally, that takes a little more skill. And I think the anxiety here comes from feeling like you have to carry the conversation. Like you have to be entertaining or say something smart every time there's a pause.
But the truth is, the best conversationalists aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who make the other person feel most heard. And that's actually way easier. So someone just told you something about their weekend, or a hobby, or a trip they took. What do you say? This is where people overthink it so much. They're in their head going, "Okay, what's a good follow-up question? Do I share something too? What if I say something weird?"
And meanwhile, the other person is just waiting for a normal human reaction. The most powerful thing you can say is simply, "That sounds awesome." Not because it's clever. It's not. But because it's warm, it's genuine, and it tells the other person, "I heard you, and I think what you said is cool." That's what people actually want.
And to keep them talking, which is honestly the goal, just follow up with, "Oh, nice. How was it?" Ask them to go deeper. People love it when someone wants to hear more. It makes them feel interesting. And once they're talking, the conversation basically carries itself.
Here's that in action. Imagine Liam finds out I tried a new restaurant.
"So you went to that new Italian place? That sounds awesome. How was it?"
It was so good. The pasta was amazing.
And now we're talking about pasta. And then maybe about Italy, or about other restaurants, or about how Sera really needs to stop spending money on food. I don't know where it goes, but it goes somewhere natural.
That's the thing. You don't need to plan the next 5 turns. You just need to respond genuinely to what's right in front of you. If you want to actually get to know someone, go a little deeper. And the trick is asking questions that don't have a yes or no answer. You want open-ended questions that invite them to tell a story. One of my personal favorites. So, how did you get into that field?
Oh, this one is so good. Because everyone has a story about how they ended up where they are. And most people don't get asked about it. So when you ask, they light up.
Exactly. And if you want to connect on a more personal level, try, what do you like to do when you're not working? It shifts the conversation out of work mode, which is a relief for a lot of people. It says, hey, I see you as a whole person, not just your job title.
And if you want to stay on the work side of things, got any big projects going on right now is a really natural way to show interest without it feeling like an interview.
Here's how that plays out. Imagine Liam and I are having lunch together for the first time.
I've been an engineer for about 5 years now.
Oh, really? So, how did you get into that field?
I actually started coding as a hobby in high school.
And now we're into his actual story. That's a real conversation. That's the kind of thing people remember.
Okay, so this one comes up a lot in work settings specifically. When someone is sharing an idea, a frustration, a take on something, and you want to show that you're engaged, that you respect their thinking. The first move is to acknowledge their work positively. Something like, I've heard great things about your project.
People work really hard, and they don't always hear that it's noticed. So just saying that, it means a lot. And it makes them feel comfortable opening up.
And when someone makes a point you agree with, and this sounds almost too simple, just say it. That's a really good point. Or, I completely agree with you. We underestimate how good it feels to be agreed with. It builds trust instantly.
And then, to keep the dialogue going, invite them to share more. What are your thoughts on this? That one is especially powerful at work because it shows you actually value their perspective. Not just as a conversation filler, as a genuine invitation.
Here's that in action. Imagine we're discussing a new company policy.
I think the new remote work policy is really going to boost team morale.
That's a really good point. I completely agree with you. Actually, what are your thoughts on the rollout timeline?
See how naturally that flows? You validated her, you agreed, and then you opened it right back up. The conversation stays warm and collaborative. Okay, you've had a great chat. You've connected. Now, how do you get out of it without being awkward or rude? Because this is honestly one of the most underrated skills. People don't talk about it enough. And when you don't have a plan, you end up either cutting the conversation off awkwardly or you're trapped for 20 minutes.
I've been trapped. It's not fun. The key to a graceful exit is to frame it as you doing them a favor. That sounds a little strategic, but it's actually just considerate. You say, well, I don't want to keep you. What that does is, it gives both of you an out. You're not saying, I need to go, which can feel abrupt. You're saying, I respect your time. It's warm, it's generous, and it makes the other person feel good.
And then you just give a light, natural reason. You don't need to explain yourself, just something brief, like, I actually need to jump on a quick call. Or even just, I'm gonna go grab some coffee. Neither of those is a big deal. They're not dramatic. They're just life. And that's all you need.
Here's how that looks. Imagine we're in the hallway and my meeting is about to start. Well, Sarah, this has been great, but I don't want to keep you. I actually need to jump on a quick call.
No problem at all. I'm gonna go grab some coffee anyway.
Clean, easy, nobody feels dismissed. That's the goal.
And then, the very last thing you say matters more than people realize, because that's what they'll remember. You want to leave them with a genuinely warm feeling. Start with, it was great catching up with you. Simple, sincere, personal. If you want to actually stay connected and not just say it to be polite, say, "Let's definitely stay in touch." And then actually follow through. Send that LinkedIn request. Send that email. Make it real.
And close it out with something upbeat. Have a good rest of your day. That phrase is underrated. It's warm, it's specific to right now, and it sends them off feeling good.
Here's how it sounds all together.
It was great catching up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's definitely stay in touch. Have a good rest of your day. And that's it. That's a complete small talk interaction, from opening to close, that feels natural, warm, and genuinely human. Okay, before we wrap up, let's do our mindful review. Liam, you ready?
Always ready. Let's go.
All right, so we covered a lot today, but honestly, these phrases are simpler than people think. The hard part isn't the words, it's just remembering to use them in the moment. So let's run through them one more time together. Phase 1 was all about the approach, how you even start the conversation. For that coworker you see every single day, we said ditch the automatic "how are you?" and try,
How's your day going so far?
that "so far" does so much work. It's small, but it makes the question feel real. And on a Friday,
Any fun plans for the weekend? Honestly, I dare anyone to not have something to say after that question. Even nothing, just resting. That's a conversation.
exactly. And for someone you haven't seen in a while, someone you kind of lost track of, we said go with something that actually acknowledges the time gap.
What have you been up to lately?
Or if you want to keep it more work-focused,
How are things over in your department?
that one's great because it's warm without being too personal, safe but not cold.
And then for breaking the ice with a complete stranger, use what's around you. You don't need a perfect line.
Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?
Classic. Timeless. Still works.
Or the one I personally love,
I couldn't help but notice.
because it shows you're actually paying attention to them, and people feel that.
Okay, phase 2. Keeping the ball rolling. This is the part that trips people up the most. Someone just shared something with you. A story, a plan, a hobby, and your brain goes blank. Sound familiar?
All the time.
So we said, don't overthink it. Just be warm.
That sounds awesome.
3 words. That's it. And it works because it's genuine. And then, to keep them going,
Oh, nice. How was it? Ask them to go deeper. People love it when someone actually wants to hear more. That's when the real conversation starts.
and if you want to get to know someone, like actually know them, ask about their story.
So, how did you get into that field?
I love this one because everyone has an answer, and almost nobody ever asks. So when you do, you stand out.
Or, to connect on a more personal level,
What do you like to do when you're not working?
it's such a relief for people to be seen as more than just their job. That question does that.
And if you want to stay on the work side,
Got any big projects going on right now?
natural, curious, not nosy. Perfect.
And then, validating what they say. This one's underrated.
So underrated. Start by acknowledging their work.
I've heard great things about your project.
People work hard, and they don't hear that enough. Just saying it changes the whole energy of the conversation.
And when they make a point you agree with, just say so. Don't hold back.
That's a really good point.
I completely agree with you.
Simple, but it builds trust so fast.
And to invite them to keep sharing.
What are your thoughts on this?
That one shifts the dynamic in the best way. Suddenly, it's a real dialogue, not just you asking questions.
Okay, phase 3, getting out. Gracefully.
The most underrated phase.
So underrated. You frame the exit as you respecting their time.
Well, I don't want to keep you.
That's the key move. And then just add a light, natural reason.
I actually need to jump on a quick call.
I'm going to go grab some coffee.
Neither one is dramatic. It's just life. And that's all you need.
And then the close. Leave them feeling good.
It was great catching up with you.
Let's definitely stay in touch.
And if you actually mean it, follow through. Send the message. Make it real.
And finish with, have a good rest of your day.
You know what? Going through it like this, it really doesn't feel like that much. It's just talking like a human.
That's the whole point. And now you have the exact words to do it. So go use them. And come tell us how it goes. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Take care, everyone.
Isn't this view incredible?
Yes, the sunset is magical. I could ride this train forever.